Greetings and welcome to this short video presentation where we look at monitoring our servers. Now this lab can pertain to member servers, domain controllers, client computers. It's all interchangeable in that whatever we're doing up here inside of this domain controller in my lab, you can transpose this to work on just about any Windows operating system. To begin the lab, we're going to open up our server manager and we're going to go to Tools and we're going to open up the event viewer. Once the event viewer has opened up, just go to Windows Logs, and now we're going to click on System. These log files can get very busy, and most of the information in here is not critical, or it's not of the warning nature, and there are just a lot of information messages. But we need to be able to filter through these log files to be able to get to the critical and to the warning. To do this, we just right-click on System, and we're going to go to Filter Current Log. What we want to look at now are just the critical and the warning error messages, and we're going to go down and we're just going to say OK to that. Now notice that my log has been filtered, and I'll move this window down here a little bit for you. And you'll see that I only have the warning and I have the criticals that are in here for this particular server. Another trick that we can do is to create a custom view. So we're going to go over here to my right window pane and we're going to click on Create a Custom View. And that brings up the Create the Custom View wizard. Let's go ahead and check the boxes here for critical and for warning. And let's go back 7 days. We're going to pull down the log window and we're going to select error messages for the last 7 days. And those will be critical and warning. Now we can select by which logs we want to have this particular custom view applied to. So we're going to open up where it says Event Logs, and we're going to expand Windows Logs. We're going to select Application, Security, and System. And now we can say OK. Now we have to give it a user-friendly name for this custom view. I've given my custom view the user-friendly name of Critical Warnings. Now I'm going to say OK. And you'll notice that over here on the left window pane, the critical view that we just created, or the custom view that we just created, called Critical Warnings, is now present. So now I can click on this and only the critical and the warnings for my application, my system, and my security logs will be present. We can close out the event viewer and we'll come back to that in just a moment. What we're going to do now is we're going to create a task for a specific event up inside of the event viewer to appear when that event does occur. So we're going to go to Tools, we're going to go down to Services. And underneath Services, we're going to scroll down until we come to the DNS client. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click on the DNS client and I'm going to select Restart. This is going to generate 2 errors up inside of the event viewer underneath System. We can track this event that just occurred by looking at our clock at 7:39 my time. And I can now close out the services. I can go back up to Server Manager, click on Tools, scroll back up till I come to the event viewer, open that back up, expand my Windows logs. Underneath System, I will see that I have a couple of different 7036 error messages. So I can click on the one that is approximately 739, and now we see that I have that error message that we generated up inside of Services. The DNS client service entered the running state. Now there should be another one that said it entered the stop state. So now we can go ahead and start creating that custom task just for this particular error message. To do this, all we have to do is just right click on to the event and we select Attach Task to this event. That brings up the Create a Basic Task. We can go ahead and click on Next, and we can select Next one more time. And now we're going to use a program to start to warn us about the event when it occurs. We're going to go ahead and say Next to that. Underneath for the action or the start a program, we're going to select the notepad to pop up and let us know that the event did occur. So I've gone ahead and typed in the path that I want the task scheduler to launch when this event does happen. So I'm going to go ahead and say Next, and now I can go ahead and say Finish. Now notice that there's nothing here in the description. So when the event is logged, this is what it's going to say. When the program is launched, there probably won't be nothing inside of the notepad itself, which is normal. I'll go ahead and say close that, say OK to that, and it lets me know that the custom task or the task for the task scheduler was actually created. So again, we can close this out And what we're going to do is go back up to my server manager. There's Notepad. Now what I'm going to do is go back down to tools. I'm going to go back down to services. And again, I'm going to restart my DNS client. Right click, and I'm going to select restart. I'll go ahead and close that out. And there's Notepad hanging around in the background there. So we created a event to occur using Notepad when the task that stopping the DNS client happens. So now when that event occurs, Notepad pops up. Now you can go back in and you can modify this to do just about anything you want. You can actually do another program or whatever it is you want the task scheduler to do. Now where is that task located? Well, it's up here inside of Task Scheduler. So if I go down here to Task Scheduler, up inside of my tools, you'll see that we have a task waiting for us here. So let's see. There it is right there. There's the task right there. If it becomes a nuisance, you can always just delete it, which is what I'm going to do. Go ahead and delete that task. And if you want to, you can go back in and create another one later on. Because if you don't, every time that DNS client starts and stops, it's going to generate another instance of Notepad. In this next portion of the lab, we're going to take a look at Resource Monitor. I'm not a big fan of Resource Monitor. I think it's more trouble than it's worth, but it is worth looking at. So I'm going to go ahead and launch Resource Manager here. I just went up to Server Manager, went to Tools, went down to Resource Manager. Now with my Resource Monitor opened up, I'm going to go ahead and click on the CPU tab. Now you notice that we have a taskbar running across here with different titles. If I want to put everything in alphabetical order, I can go ahead and just click on the image. Now everything is going to be in alphabetical order. And then I can make it from A to Z or Z to A, however I want to list it. Go ahead and now this task is now in alphabetical order. So we can just keep going across here, and we can keep on clicking on these the names of these tasks or these processes up here inside of the taskbar, and I can put them in alphabetical order or numerical sequence or whatever it is you want to do. So I can just keep on clicking on these and get the view that I want, that is best going to help me see what is using the most CPU. So if I just click on CPU, you'll notice that I now have the image or the processes that are using the most resources up at the top. And you can see that that is PerfMon, which is pretty much why I don't like it. I think it's a resource hog, and this is pretty much what happens. You can use it for a while, but don't expect it to be for nothing. You're going to have to pay by giving up resources for Resource Monitor so that it can monitor the resources that you want to take a look at. We can also go down here and take a look at the services bar and see what's going on down here. If we do a right click on the net logon, for instance, and we click on search online, a web page of internet links will open up with information about that particular service. So I can right click on here and I can search online. Now I don't have internet access. I don't believe I do. I don't think so. So this isn't going to work, but if I did have internet access for this particular server, then yes, I would be able to research each and every one of these different services by just right-clicking and saying search online. We can go ahead and close that out. Now back over here underneath tools, we can also go to our performance monitor. Going to open that up, and now we're going to click on underneath monitoring tools. We can click on performance monitor. So if I'd like to see what's going on with my processors underneath performance, I can just go ahead and click on this. This is the add button. Then I can click on processor and I can say add. And now I can say OK to that. And now we can monitor the processors. And we can see what's going on down here with the processor with all the different settings that I'm able to monitor. And if you would like to know exactly what thread is actually being watched at this time, you can look at the colors, or you can just go over here and you can click on something to get an idea of what is actually being counted. So just by clicking on the arrow or the change in the graph, that is to say the color in the graph, you can get an idea of exactly what's being monitored. You can also go up in here inside of the taskbar and you can see the different options that you have here. For instance, if you want to display something specific, you can go in here and you can check it, and you can have the color, or you can change the color to anything you want. You can pretty much customize the performance monitor output to be just about anything you want. Alright, so have some fun with it. You can play around with it, but like I said, it's nothing that I would actually use and leave running for a long period of time. It does tend to generate rather large log files if you decide that you want to create a log file. And these log files can then be pulled back in. You can actually import these into the performance monitor and you can look them over. You have to be a real techno freak to want to do this, and it's nothing that I've ever used. It's just there. It's been around forever. I can remember this in Windows 98. I can remember it going back, 15, 20 years. It's still system monitor or performance monitor or some type of monitor. But like I've said in the past, you don't get this for nothing. So if you leave it running, you can expect that you're going to affect the performance of your particular server or machine. You can also change the graph view. If you want the histogram, you want all this in bars, and you can click on this and you can actually get more information. You can add counters. You can do different things with this performance monitor in these different views. I'm going up here. I'm in the histogram bar. We can also do reports. If you like to print this out, you can do all that. Again, the default is the line, but like I said, you can change it to be just about anything you want. And there's other options that you have in here. You can paste counter list. You can highlight things. For instance, if I used a highlighter, then I can go in here and I can highlight a certain bar or a certain problem that I think I see so that I can identify it much easier. So that's pretty much all there is that I can offer you for monitoring your system. I think the big takeaway here is going to be the event logs. Now what I like to do is I like to go in at least once a week into my servers, and what I'll do is I will clear out the event viewer. I'm going to clear out the event viewer. I'm going to clear out all my event logs, and what I'm going to do is restart the machine and see if I can regenerate some of those critical and those warning error messages. Those are the ones I'm concerned about. You're going to get random criticals and warning messages, and they're not all going to be able to be replicated. But those that can be are an indicator of bad things to come. So when you got a few minutes, it's always a good thing to go into your event viewer inside of your servers and see what's going on, because that's the indicator that you're looking for that something bad is about to happen. All right, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to disable all of this fun stuff inside of my system monitor here and get rid of everything. And we're going to get back to a normal baseline so that I don't have to worry about overloading this particular virtual machine with too much monitoring going on. All right, I will see you in my next video.